Welcome to Wellness Made Easy with Wendy and Kirsten. Hi, I'm Wendy. After I graduated with my master's in wellness management, I started my own company, T2 Coaching, Health, Fitness, and Sport. And I'm Kirsten, an athlete, vegan, life coach, and girl mom, running a business focused on helping others create a life they love. We are here to explore all things wellness to help you become the person you've always wanted to be. So if that's why you're here, open your ears and your mind as we tackle the world of wellness together. Hey, everybody. Hi, Wendy.
Hi, Kirsten. How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm mid-road trip.
And where are you headed?
I am going to South Dakota for the Wildlife Loop Triathlon that I do every year. That since Wendy did it the very first year. You just did it once, right? Or did you do it twice?
I think I did it twice. I did it once. There was a big prize money. I believe it was $800 for first place. And I won. It was the first year. It was the teeniest, tiniest transition area I've ever seen because there were probably only maybe 20 participants, if that, between men and women. And at that time, I think there was only the half Ironman distance event going on. I don't think they had the smaller races like they may have now.
Right.
And then I believe I went again. I know I went in 2015 because I did Ironman Boulder in 2015 and I almost didn't finish that race and I found out I was very anemic because I struggled really bad at Ironman Boulder. And then my comeback was the Wildlife Loop Triathlon, which I believe was about 3 months after Ironman Boulder. So that was kind of my redemption race.
Oh, nice.
And I did really well that year. And I think that second year I did it in 2015, they brought on maybe an Olympic distance.
Right. And so then you had moved or couldn't do it. When did you move? What year?
I moved in 2016.
Yeah. So you had moved and so you didn't do it. And so you were like, you should go do it. And
was that your first year?
Yeah. So it was the next year after you did it and you were like, you should go do it and try to win some money. And I went out and did it and won money. And I was like, this is awesome. But winning money was amazing. But the race itself, I've gone every year since then, other than maybe, I think the Wisconsin Ironman I did one year, and it was the same weekend. Yeah.
What year did you do to Wisconsin?
I don't know. I'd have to look. Probably maybe 20.
Yeah, I don't remember. I didn't know you did that one.
Oh yeah. It's like 2021 or 2022. It was when I was trying to qualify for Kona one last time.
Okay.
And so yeah, and I think so there might have been 2 years that I haven't done it, but every other year I've done it and it's become one of my very favorite races. I've become really good friends with the race director and his family. I always tell everybody, I'm like, you guys have to go do this race because it's so here's how to describe the race. My friend Michael sent me a text yesterday and he was like, good luck at your race. Is there tracking? And I was like, okay. They don't even use timing chips. And this is 2025. So to me, someone who doesn't have a bike computer, to me, this is like my kind of race. You drive into Custer State Park, you park, you walk 20 feet to a transition area that is, like Wendy said, there's typically about 20 people, and this is even still 20 people doing the half distance. Now there's about maybe 30 or 40 people doing the Olympic distance, and now they also have a sprint. So maybe there's 100 people in the whole race. So you walk and you put your stuff in transition and then you walk back 20 steps back to your car and hang out. And then like 5 minutes before the race starts, you get up, walk into the lake. It's super low key. The first, I think 10 years I did it, the finish line was a big sign on the back of their RV that says like finish line touch here. And like you touch a poster. And they do all the splits manually. Like so Brandon is the race director, his mom and her friends, like it's his whole family. They come out and they do everything and they sit in a lawn chair smoking. And when you run out, if your number is 85, they write your time. And then A month later, Brandon gets around to doing the splits because he has to do them all manually. And so I love the just grassroots, like super chill, low key feel of it for sure. But the course itself is one of the most gorgeous courses on the planet. If you've ever been up in South Dakota, it's at Custer State Park. You bike the Iron Mountain Highway, which is a U.S. scenic route. It's all up or down. There's not one pedal stroke of flat in the entire bike course, and there's not one step of flat in the entire run.
Do you know how many feet of elevation gain is on the bike course?
I don't. I want to say 6,056 miles.
That's a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot. So this bike course, because people think like St. George is a really hard bike course, or what's another half? The halves that people say are really, really hard. My typical time for those courses is maybe like 2 hours and 45 minutes. And I've never gotten under 3 hours on the Wildlife Loop course for the bike.
Yeah, I'm looking it up. I'm trying to do a little search right now. It doesn't. Oh, 5,118.
Okay, 5,118 feet.
That's a good chunk.
Yeah, and then on the run, it's like the run's like 1,500 or 1,300 for the 13 miles of run. It's all.
Someone reported their GPS gave them 5,600. So it's in that 50 to 5,500 range. The reason I really want to know is, number one, because I've done it, but back then I never kept track of stuff like that.
Right.
Number two, to really exponential how tough it is. That's a lot of gain in 56 miles. It's not a lot of gain over the course of 112. It is. Right. It is a lot of gain over the course of 112, but just condense that, and it's a lot. The 70.3 World Championships in Marbella, Spain, they just came out with the final course a couple weeks ago, and the elevation gain is 5,800 in 56 miles. And people are just freaking out. Freaking flipping out.
Oh, I'm sure.
And so you posted like a week later, one of your training rides about like, if you're going to race a hilly course, you better do hills. You better do hill repeats. So that's fantastic. I wish I could do it again. I don't want to make the drive. It's an expensive trip for me, but I just love to do it again because I love courses with elevation gain.
Me too. And it's just like, I just camp. I don't know. It's just really a fun race for me, and it's one of my favorites, and I'm heading out there now. So if our podcast if like I have a lot of wind, I'm outside, or if my computer stops, or if my computer dies, then podcast over.
Yeah.
What's your wellness win, Wendy?
What's my wellness win? Well, I have two. So one of them, highlight.
You always amazing. Have two. Don't make it surprise.
I ran a 5K. It's a Labor Day 5K. It's called the Hickory Flat Out 5K. And I had a goal in 2022 to break 20 minutes, because this was my 6th time racing. So in 2022, it was my 5th time racing. And the goal of breaking 20 minutes, I achieved. I did 19:55, and it was so hard, but it was such a great accomplishment to be like, oh my gosh, I broke 20 minutes on a 5K. Because I'm a multi-sport athlete. I don't train for 5Ks. I do them, and I do 10Ks and half marathons, and I do run only races as part of my multi-sport. And so and then I broke my patella in 2023. So I didn't race that year. And then I came back in 2024, and I struggled. I did like just right under 22 or around 22 minutes. And so this year, training for 10K Olympic distance, I had a really bad back issue 2 weeks ago. I wasn't quite sure what was going to happen, other than I was lucky to get the treatment on my back, that the back issue I had went away. And I knew I was going to be able to race hard. I was just kind of thinking, okay, let's say 21 minutes. 21 minutes is probably, you can break 21 minutes. And after the first mile, which is downhill, I'm like, wow, I'm going to break 20 minutes. And it was hard. It was like a 6:10 downhill. And normally I do my first mile in 6:20 or 6:25, and it's usually a lot harder. So I'm like, that 6:10 didn't feel too bad. I got to the mile and a half. I'm like, oh my God, it's half over. I got to mile 2, and I'm like, I got one more mile, and it's mostly uphill. And I just ran as hard as I could. And and I did in 1948. And I'm just so proud of that because 3 years later, post patella, my time is faster than it was before I broke my patella. So that to me is really meaningful and significant. And the fact that I have that speed when I kind of, train, my training's kind of all over the place, but at least this year it's been condensed the last 3 months to Olympic and 10K. I'm not training for any ultra right now. So that was exciting for me. It's a big deal for me, especially after breaking my patella. It's more of a bigger deal. And then my
Well, and
second
also
wellness win is today.
well, let me
No, go
just
ahead.
really quickly before you say your second one, you consistently say before you broke your patella, you were in the best shape of your life. So that
Yeah.
makes this even more rewarding and more of a proud moment because you've said that many, many times.
Yeah.
Before I broke my patella, I was in the best shape of my life. And here you are post patella crushing that.
Crushing that. And back in 2022, when I said that, the best shape of my life meant I was going to be fast under 20-minute 5K, and I was going to be able to do the ultra distances. And that in 2022, I did the Georgia Death Race and I did Kona. So I did a lot in 2022, and then I broke my patella, and I was like, oh, I'm going to be even fitter when I turn 50, which is 2023. And I wasn't. I was in the worst shape of my life. I mean, I felt like I was negative fitness. I was on the couch. So in a sense, I'm like, God, this is kind of like, couch to 5K over 2.5 years, which is really exciting because for those who don't know, I broke my patella. I had non-weight bearing for 6 weeks. I lost every muscle in my right leg. My right leg was like the size of my arm. I had no muscle mass in my quad, glute, hamstring. I had nothing. So, if you have ever had knee issues or surgery that you had non-weight bearing, I mean, it's a big deal, especially for athletes. So I feel good about that. And then my second wellness win is kind of minor, but today it all came together where I had a chiropractor appointment. I did an eye exam 2 weeks ago. And my glasses came in, and I checked my bike at the bike shop a week ago, and they were all really close to each other. So I got to go pick up my bike, get my glasses, and go to my chiropractor appointment all in like the same hour span. It was like I didn't have to go today and then go again tomorrow and then go again Monday. So I really like when errands like that come together because it's a
Right.
wellness win with like management and just everything coming together, everything like being due on the same day, everything just came together. So that really kind of helped me manage my day.
Right. That is really good. That's like when all the stars align.
Yeah,
And you're
exactly.
like,
So let's hear about yours.
I guess I don't know. I guess I didn't think about it. I've been really all my spare time has been spent watching the Vuelta a España. So they're on stage. They just finished stage 12 today. I haven't watched it yet because they do it in the morning and then I watch all afternoon and evening. So that I swear all my spare time is all bike racing. So I think though, one of the things I've been doing, I've had this little like hip, I think it's just a really big tightness, but it's causing pain in my hip. And I had a massage Tuesday, 2 days ago, which was phenomenal. And it feels a lot better now, but it's still like I'm walking kind of weird. And so for the last probably 10 days, I've spent minimum, I would say minimum 45 minutes to an hour and a half every single day doing all the things. Foam rolling. We have these like cryo lounge chairs for icing. We have the water massage. We have the
Yep.
massage gun, like all the things for like between 45 minutes and an hour and a half every single day for the last 10 days. And it's making me realize, and I guess it's helped my hip a little bit, but it's more helping me realize how beneficial as a whole doing all this recovery is. And you hear about, and I was thinking about it because watching the Volta, these guys are like putting themselves like in the red 5 hours every single day, crushing themselves. And then they wake up and do it the next day and the next day for 21 days. And the commentators are always like, their recovery is insane. Like they recover and they show it they don't do this in the Vuelta because it's not as techy, but in the Tour de France, they were showing guys' average power and they were showing their, because they just are all wearing wearables just constantly, and now all this is, they're, you know, showing the public all this, and it's so interesting how they're just trashing themselves, and it shows their hours of sleep they're getting, it shows their heart rate variability, it's showing all this stuff, and then it just shows how well they're recovering and how fast they recover because they do all the things. I would say most of the time.
I want to,
yeah. Go ahead.
Well, I want to jump on that because, again, you know, the last podcast we were talking about, you know, life after 50, life after 40, kind of more athletic oriented, but we try to apply it to other areas of wellness. When I hurt my back, and again, I couldn't stand, like I bent over and I could barely stand up. Like I got treatment. Luckily I got treatment like right away, and I had to really be low key. The forced rest, when you get hurt or something like that, it's forced rest, was leading up to my 5K. And I knew that. I'm like, well, here's the forced rest that I probably wouldn't have taken this much rest if I didn't hurt my back. And that's probably only going to benefit me, which it did. And, you know, we also talked about try to maintain, don't do a foam roller when you get hurt. Try to do the consistent foam roller or hydro massage, stuff that we both have access because we're members of Lifetime Fitness, and just keep up with, maintain that kind of stuff. Don't wait till you get hurt to get therapy. Do the maintenance work of those therapeutic devices as well as nutrition and sleep, so you do continue to be consistently recovering.
Right. And we had talked about this on one of our second wellness myths is you can't catch up on these things. Like we try, like when we get injured, we double down. When we're sick, we all of a sudden sleep twice as much, hydrate twice as much, and eat twice as many fruits and vegetables. And that might help a little bit, but you can't catch up. So if you get in the habit of doing these things routinely, it's only going to better you physically, mentally, and emotionally. And I think that's the wellness win of it all for me, is that I was like, oh man, like no wonder professional athletes and Olympic athletes, like no wonder they can do what they do, because they prioritize this. If you're on a big team or you have a coach or you go to the school. I know someone who goes to a snowboarding school, a gymnastics school, where they do the same amount of school as they do training, and they prioritize all this stuff for a reason. And professional athletes prioritize this stuff for a reason, and it's so that they can be the best they can be.
Right. Like right now, I'm in a different location. I'm sitting in a specific chair in my house because right now my back pain, I feel it when I get out of the car, or I feel it when I sit up from a chair. But for some reason, the chair that I'm sitting in right now doesn't bother my back as much as like the couch does, or as much as the chair that I'm usually sitting in during my podcast. So I'm like, okay, I don't want any back pain because I'm doing another race this weekend. I'm going to be as comfortable as I can during the podcast so I don't irritate my back.
Exactly.
I'm aware of things. I notice things. I take care of myself because I have priorities and goals.
Yeah. And a lot of mine and Wendy's priorities involve fitness. Involve physical, being well physically. And so if you guys have that, if your physical wellness and your mobility and your well-being physically is a priority, then you need to honor your body and make it a priority.
Yeah.
So what we wanted to talk about today, it's fall, y'all. And we are moving into a new season. And some people really struggle with fall. And Wendy and I are both coaches. We both coach a lot of multi-sport athletes and people that maybe their bulk of their racing is done in the summer. So maybe their big races are at the end of the summer or the beginning of the fall. And then they kind of are like in the what now? But also, I know a lot of people with seasonal affective disorder. So just being in the cold, having to stay inside, having stay dark till 7 a.m. and get dark at 4 p.m., which I actually love. But for a lot of people, that really affects their mood. And this whole SAD, the seasonal affective disorder, it's not a made up thing. It's a real thing. So there's treatments for this. And so what we kind of wanted to talk about is, just helping you guys realize for yourself, like if you do have an issue with the changing of seasons, if you do tend to get a little down in the winter, if you absolutely love the winter. So, where do you stand? Do you love the fall? What are your favorite things about fall? Do you struggle with fall? Well, let's plan now to make this a really great season in whatever, whether it's physically, mentally, or emotionally, where you're at, let's make it the best season for you. So when do you love fall? Where do you fall on fall?
It's interesting because summer used to be my favorite season. And that was really mostly when I lived in Colorado. Why was summer my favorite season? Because it was hot and warm, and I felt like I thrived more in the heat. Since moving to Georgia, not so much, because the humidity is high and it's just a different type of heat. So I'm not
You're like, and it's always hot
in the heat in the summer times as much as I used to. So my process used to be, fall, it's close to means it's closer to winter. And I absolutely used to hate winter. Even though I love snow, I just didn't like the winter season because it was cold. But now I don't have seasonal affective disorder. I can easily adapt. I do prefer sunlight in the mornings versus the evenings, just because I'm usually coaching the kids in the evenings, or I'm pretty much indoors anyways in the evenings due to my schedule. I don't mind. I prefer sunlight in the summer. When the time changes and it's dark in the mornings, I'm just like, I'd rather be up early, and I get to see more sunrises when we fall back, when the time changes and we fall back. I love falling back when that time changes because we gain an hour. That's a bonus. And I just make the best of adapting to the heat, the weather, the hotter weather, or the colder weather. If I had the choice, I would love to live in just a swimsuit and not have to really put on many clothes. I don't like layering up. And at the same time, I don't like being cold. And here in Georgia, the past 2 years, it could get down to 12 degrees here in Georgia. But what I do now when it does that, I thrive by going to the Lifetime Fitness Club and jumping in the water when it's 12 degrees outside. Like I've made challenges for myself that motivate me to say, ooh, I can't wait till the coldest day of the year because I'm going to get in the water and it's going to be 30 degrees. Like I've turned things around. Again, it goes back to things that it's a mindset. Adjusting to the cold is different now than it used to be for me because I can layer up and I can be warm. And the best part of being cold is I know I can go inside and get warm. So
Right.
I've just had to adjust my mindset about either being in 100 degrees with 100% humidity or being in 30 degrees with 100% humidity, because the bitter cold is definitely biting here compared to a dry climate like Colorado. So
Right.
I can get through it just fine. I mean, what I love about the fall is I'm transitioning back into trail running, which is what, if I had to pick one sport to do the rest of my life, it would be trail running. So trail running, the leaves, the change in colors, the crunch of the leaves once they start to fall. Again, I'm going to stress the change in colors have been beautiful wherever I've lived. So I really enjoy that part of fall. And I think climate wise, the humidity starts to go away. And so 80 degrees with 50% humidity feels much better than 80 degrees at 90% humidity.
Right. So basically, would you say if somebody does struggle with this change from summer to fall and winter, the best, the tips are find something and you can make up your own, like Wendy made up her own challenge. You don't have to look for something that's already out there. Make up your own thing. Find a reason that fall is fun. Find a reason, find something that excites you going into this new season so that you can look forward to it. So even if it's kind of like when we talk about gratitude, even if it's just the very smallest thing today, like I'm grateful that my computer battery has 75% left. So find something that excites you about this upcoming season, and then be grateful for some things like Wendy said about the leaves, about the crunch of the leaves, and she gets to trail run. And so it's always a mindset and a reframing. And instead of looking for what you're going to miss about the summer, find a few things that you're looking forward to for the fall, even if you have to make them up right now. Even if offhand you can't think of any, it could be like getting back to a schedule. It could be like, I'm going to start a challenge. I'm going to say I love you to my husband every single day. I'm going to start eating an apple a day. I'm going to start doing a September squat challenge. Like, come up with something that, even if it's really small, helps you look forward to the upcoming season.
Yeah, so I want to say three things. Number one, if people do dread a certain season, whether it's fall, winter, spring, or summer, if you know you do, you can plan ahead. You can plan ahead of what are you going to do to make the changes so it doesn't affect you from a depression standpoint as much as it used to. Number two, there's two challenges that I used to participate in. And again, since breaking my patella, I'm done with challenges like that. But one the Great Cycling Challenge is started in the month of September, where you commit to cycling so many miles and to fundraising so much money for childhood cancer. It's a great challenge. It's a great cause. And there's also a swimming challenge. I can't remember the name, but I think it's during the month of September, where you commit to swimming a certain distance during the month of September and raising a certain amount of money. Both of these challenges are really fun, and you post on social media and you get other people to participate, and they're good causes for where your money's going to. And if you commit to raising $500 but you only raise $300, you're not penalized. They're not going to be like, oh, we don't want you here because you didn't raise as much money as you said you would. But it's just another fun way to kind of get involved with the community and community support. And I was going to say a third thing, but I forget what it was.
Well, that just reminded me that I feel like we always we're like, oh, we talked about that before. But some of you guys, this might be the first time listening to us. But if, again, like Wendy said, if you know that you struggle with an upcoming season, reach out now to get support from your friends, from your family, from therapy, whatever you need, so that you can be ready for it. And you have those connections, you have your support system, because that's going to take you really far when in any transition in life, is reaching out to your support system.
Mm-hmm.
So I love fall. I love summer. I love summer because I love being hot. I love the sun. My sport is in the summer. I've always loved fall, I think because my birthday's in the fall. So as a kid, I was always really excited about Halloween and my birthday. As I got a little older, I was excited to get an extra hour with the time change and my birthday. And then after I had a child, I love when it gets dark earlier, because she still doesn't look at a clock to tell time. So we look at a clock, and most adults look at a clock and say, oh, I need to get ready for bed. But kids, when they don't know how to tell time or they don't look at time yet, when the sun starts going down, their body starts winding down. And it's a huge challenge for me in the summer with her, because it's still light at 9:00. There's still people playing outside. So she thinks it's still daytime, and we have to wake up really early every morning in the summer. So in the fall, when it starts getting dark earlier, her body gets ready for bed earlier. And in the winter, by like 4:30, she's already like in bed mode. So we get so much more sleep. And you guys know how much sleep is a big thing to me. So I'm really looking forward to sleeping more, kind of like nesting, like being inside more, and working on my apartment and cleaning, getting rid of things, organizing, simplifying, toss it Tuesday. For me, all these things are more of like fall and winter, mostly winter, because in fall, I still race. I have a race this weekend. I have a race October 4th. So actual fall to me is still kind of like my getting ready to race mode with more sleep, which will definitely help my recovery. And then winter is that kind of nesting. So I love both of those seasons. My season I don't love is spring, because in Colorado, spring is like, one day it's like 90 degrees and you're getting pumped for summer, and the next day it dumps snow and you're like, oh, not summer yet. So, but again, like Wendy said,
I love that.
Yeah. And so everyone is a little bit different. So if you guys want to share some of the things you love about this upcoming season of fall, other people might look at it and be like, oh, yeah, I didn't think of that. Because every one of you out there loves a different season and you have reasons. And maybe Wendy's like, oh, I love spring because of this. And I was like, oh, yeah, I forgot about that. Like the birds chirping or whatever it is. So you guys let us know what you love about fall. And then that will help other people be like, oh, yeah, that is a cool thing. Because when people think about like the dark, they're like, oh, the dark. And someone's like, oh, the leaves are so beautiful. And they're like, oh, yeah, I do love the leaves.
Well, and like going back to the dark, you know, some people are not morning people. They don't want to get up any earlier than they have to. But if
Me,
you're someone with that seasonal affective disorder, the best time of you to get the sunlight is going to be early in the morning. And so it may be worth your while to break your habits, start new habits by getting outside and getting some sunlight. A lot of times I used to tell athletes who had mild depression issues, or, you know, sometimes the answer I would always tell them is vitamin D from sunlight or vitamin E endorphins. And so just getting out, going for a walk with sunlight, you're getting those endorphins and you're getting some vitamin D with that sunlight hitting on your skin. And again, there is a way to get that daylight. Sometimes it just means getting up extra early in the morning.
or if you have a job where you can you have to take a lunch break and it's in the middle of the day, maybe you could eat your lunch outside or take a quick walk after your lunch or just sit outside in the sun for a few minutes. I know in Colorado we don't have it's not as bad as some other places because it's really sunny in Colorado all year round. But places that the sun doesn't come up as much, they do have sun lamps and they emit the same rays that the sun does. And so sitting under that sun lamp for 10 minutes a day, or, even things that I have no idea if this is like scientific. The sun lamp is scientific. What I would do if I was feeling like down is I would like make a little playlist. I'm really big on playlists. I have on my Spotify account, I probably have 200 playlists. And I have playlists for different moods I'm in. I make at the beginning of the year, I always make a playlist based on like my word of the year. And I'm like all the songs that empower me that have to do with what I'm working toward, I put in this playlist. So if I'm feeling unmotivated or if I'm feeling down, I'll listen to that playlist. Or I have a playlist if I feel like I want to be wallow in self pity, like the songs that make me cry. So, even doing something like listening to music for 10 minutes, watching funny videos for 10 minutes, watching cat videos, whatever, if you have something that is simple that makes you smile or brings you some joy, then plan ahead, like Wendy said, and even make a list so that if you're like, oh my gosh, I wake up, I'm in the worst mood, it's dark, I'm sick of the dark, I'm sick of this, I just don't want to go on today, this is ridiculous. Oh wait, I made this list and it's sitting on my fridge and there's 4 things that I can do. I can go out and walk in the sun for a few minutes. I can snuggle with my dogs and pet them like crazy for 10 minutes. I can listen to my Spotify playlist for 10 minutes, or I can go to my favorite funny influencer guy, the guy who tries to do all these mobility and flexibility challenges that people send him, and he's like this huge buff guy that can barely move, and his dog's always licking his face and his cat's always licking his legs and he's always falling, and when I watch him I just crack up. So 10 minutes of that. So those are some things that you could do, but if you know that this is a thing for you, now is the time to start kind of planning ahead for that.
Right, because again, it is darker in the evenings. It's always very dark in the mornings, but that's going to change in a month or so. So now's the time to start planning ahead and trying to figure out what you need to do to not get that sad.
Yeah, and help yourself. Like you know what you need. Don't let, I mean, we're giving you suggestions, but that it might not resonate with you. Think about, okay, what are the things that bring me joy? What are the things that help lift me out? Do I need to have an accountability partner that every morning we wake up and like be like, hey, sexy, hey, beautiful, have an amazing day. How are you feeling? Just somebody that you can connect with every day, because just that
Mm-hmm.
small little bit of kindness or connection might be all you need. So think about what are the things that make you feel good, and start planning to utilize those over the next couple months.
Think about all the possibilities, which happen to be my word of the year.
Oh, so Wendy and I actually I was talking about the word of my year too when I was talking about my playlist. So Wendy and I were also checking in with each other. We talked at the very beginning of the year about our word for the year, and we wanted to kind of circle back because I know several of you guys shared your word of the year with us, and just kind of giving you a few minutes to reflect and see where you are in your year and how it's affected you. Maybe it hasn't yet, but it's about to, and just where you are, how you're feeling with your word of the year. So Wendy, share yours.
Right. So my word of the year was adaptability or adapting. And my word last year was transformation. That was me coming back from my patella surgery. And then I thought initially my word was going to be adaptable, but I already am adaptable. So that's kind of part of my personality. So it was possibilities. And I think having that word leaves everything really open-ended to possibilities. And so nothing set in stone. I mean, I'm pretty spontaneous, random type of person. The way I train myself, my activity level, what I do with my jobs is very presently dictated. I don't think too far in the future, and I learn from the past. But I usually live in the present. So again, that I think the word possibilities is very resonates with me with my personality.
And so how is it
So
showing in
anything's
your ear
possible.
so far? I'm going to move because somebody's chatting. Can you hear them?
No, I can't.
Okay. I didn't know if it was loud. I'll just move over a tiny bit. All right.
No, I
So,
can't hear anything.
okay. So how is that showing up for you?
Well, I think I've been very open to doing again new things with my business and with my sport to that has lent to those possibilities. I signed up for a 50-mile race, and a year ago, especially after I broke my patella, I'm like, you know what, I'm just gonna stick. After I broke my patella and started running again, I'm like 5Ks mentally. I'm like 5Ks. This is all I want to do. And then I did a half marathon. I'm like, oh, I think I could go farther. And then I did a 50K, and I'm like, oh my god, 50Ks. Totally mentally, I don't want to go beyond a 50K. But then all of a sudden, like my mind, I got some volunteer credits, and I got to sign up for a race for volunteering. And I'm like, oh, I'm signing up for the 50. And I'm totally like, what's going to happen? Let's go find out.
Right.
So
Possibilities
after I
are
signed up
endless.
for the 50, yeah, possibilities are endless. That because that doing a 50 and learning how I am physically, but more mentally, how I am mentally during, and after is only going to lead to more possibilities for 2026. So then
Right.
I also signed up for a 50K in 2026 that was canceled due to the hurricane, and I was signed up for the 10K, and I'm like, oh, well, it was canceled this year because of the hurricane, so I'm going to do the 50K in 2026. It's a really hard one. It's one that was on my list in 2023 that I couldn't do. And then I'm like, oh, this 50 miler, oh, and this 50K in May of 2026, got me thinking that's going to open up to all these other possibilities of all these goals I used to have, but I kind of turned away. And now these goals are coming back to me for what I want to do with my sport. And that's the whole like possibility.
Oh, I
Everything I
like,
do is leading to new possibilities.
I know, that's so exciting. So do you think it was valuable for you to choose a word and kind of have put some meaning to it? Did it guide you in any way? Or are you just like contemplating now and being like, oh yeah, that was a good word because I can see what happened?
I'm contemplating that was a good word because I forgot what my word was. So when you asked me last week, what was your word of the year, I had to go back and listen to our podcast, which I believe was episode 2. And so I don't feel like that word led me, because I forgot what my word was. But when I
Right.
think back on how my year has been going, I still think it was a very valid word for me. And I talked about in episode 2 that I really am not someone that always picks a word of the year. So I
Right.
did, and I think it's really held true.
And I think one of the values that I see in picking a word of the year is not necessarily like always clinging to that word all year long, but maybe thinking about, okay, what is something that I need more of in my life or I want more of in my life, picking the word and then letting it go. And you're not always tracking like, oh, what's my word is doing this, my word is doing this, but maybe just putting it out there is enough that things start happening because of your word. And then, 9 months later, you can look and be like, oh yeah, I wasn't following it. It wasn't leading my path, but I put it out there that this is something that I'm missing in my life or I want in my life. And I see how it's showing up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure.
Love it. So my word was alignment, and mine was more of something that I was like holding on to regularly and using it to help guide me. And the reason I wanted to do that was just to make sure that everything in my life I'm doing is in alignment with who I am as a human and what I'm wanting for myself for my future. Because I feel like I do a lot of things and I would do them because I love doing them, or it felt good at the time, or it brought me joy, or it made me laugh, or it was something I thought maybe I should be doing, or do more of this because I'm 50 and I should be doing more of this, or whatever. There was a lot of different messages, some internal and some external. And I just wanted to go through everything I'm doing throughout this year and making sure it's something that I want to continue doing. And so mine, I'm kind of the opposite of Wendy in that I was very conscious of that word especially when I started getting really too busy or doing too much. I would look at these activities, or if I was saying yes to something or no to something, I would look at, if I said yes to something and it just didn't feel great, I'm like, well, is this like in alignment with who I am or where I want to be going? And if the answer was no, then I would back out. And we should do a whole podcast on being able to say no and backing out and stopping at any time, regardless of what anyone else might think of it. Because I think that's
It's always easier said than done. It's always easier to convince someone how to do it. But then when it comes to you, it's a little bit more difficult.
Right. And so there's been a couple situations this year that have been really difficult for me. I'm an avoider. I'm a peacemaker. I don't like to ruffle feathers, but I have been in a couple situations this year where I've had to decide, is this in alignment with who I am, what I want to be, and who I want to be? And if not, then I need to eliminate it from my life. So I'm not perfect at it. Again, it's way easier said than done. But I'm definitely aware of it on a regular basis. And I like that we just spent this few minutes to talk about it, because I'm going into 3 days of me by myself in the woods. And this is a perfect time for me to kind of, I brought my journals, I brought my everything, to just double check myself. I also wanted to quickly bring up our word for the year of our podcast. We drew a word from my angel cards on our second podcast. Was it the one, or maybe the first? I don't know. Was it when we did our words?
I think we drew the one on the first one and we talked about our word. And then on the second one is when I talked about how I changed my word.
Okay. So we drew a word for our podcast for the year, and the word was delight. And my 2 cents of that is I look forward every single week getting to chit chat with Wendy. First of all, that's honestly, that's my number one reason. Wait, let's try that again. Okay. Chit chatting with Wendy, seeing her face, reconnecting with her is my number one reason I love this podcast. So if nobody ever listens to it, that's awesome. number 2 in line, and it's a very close second because this is also very important to me and in alignment with what I want to present out in the world, is I want to make someone else's life easier. And I want to inspire somebody in any way, mentally, physically, emotionally, any way, to be a better human, or to reach a goal that you've always wanted to reach, or to not be scared to do something that you've always been scared to do. And so having the feedback from our listeners has been this close second most delightful thing about this podcast for me, for sure.
Yeah.
What about you and delight?
I mean, delight's just a happy word.
I know, I love it.
It's a positive word. Like when you hear the word delight, it makes me smile.
Right.
It makes me think it makes me think of Turkish delight, which is, I first had my first Turkish delight when I actually went to Istanbul, Turkey, and going to Turkey and coaching these group of SOSFIT athletes. I think I went 6 times for training camps before COVID. Brings me delight, and the word delight just makes me think of that really first and foremost, and it brings a smile to my face internally and externally.
Right.
Because how can you not smile when you hear that word delight?
I know.
So it's just a happy, positive word, and I think that's where we need to head towards in our life, is finding those happy places in our life that are to bring us delight and bring us joy.
Yeah, and I will tell you, Wendy and I our last podcast, we talked about life over 50, and I feel like as I've gotten older, and I've heard this from other people who've gotten older, is it's almost easier to find and stick with those things that bring you joy and delight and life and love and happiness and all those things, because you are. I don't know if this happens to everyone. That's why I said for me and some people I've talked to, you realize your life is half over. And so you let go of some of the things that maybe held on to you or held you back in the past, thinking, you know what, I don't want to waste any more time with those specific things.
I've never, ever in my life until now thought that my life is half over.
I know. Good thing you have two podcast hosts who are very, very different, so you can see both sides of us, both sides of the story.
Well, no. Well, again, I learned from the past. I live in the present, because how I live in the present is going to dictate my future.
Right. So yeah. So I just think the other thing, I'll be honest, like I never thought having a child. Well, because I was never somebody who thought of. I never thought I was going to have a child. So I never thought when I was younger, like, oh, when I have a child, X, Y, Z. But the things that come out of that girl's mouth, like I could be around the corner in my bathroom, and I can hear her say something, or I'll hear her say something to her friends, or I could be in a grumpy mood and she'll say something, or things that come out of that girl's mouth just make me secretly smile. I don't want her to think I'm laughing at her, because she gets really, if I laugh, she thinks I'm laughing at her. But my God, that girl's voice alone, like, definitely brings a lot of delight into my life. So my computer's about to die. So what are you most excited?
Right,
Did you want to say anything to wrap up? And then
no,
what are
let's wrap
you
up, because your computer's going to die. I'm doing a race this weekend. My one triathlon I'm doing this year happens on September 6th. I'm driving there with my mom, so I'll have some mom time and some race time, and I'm excited to race because, again, my back's feeling better, and I'm just going to do what I can to have a strong run. So my race strategy isn't like it used to be. Right now, it's mostly check off that I get in my race, because I haven't missed a race in 33 years. This will be year 33. And then just driving out there with my mom and hanging out with my mom is going to be pretty fun.
Yeah. My race is also September 6th. So we'll be thinking about each other. And I'm definitely excited to race, because I talked for the first 5 minutes about how much I love this race. But what I'm most excited about is from now until the race, I'm 100% by myself with all my stuff in my car, all my food I need for the whole weekend, all my sleeping stuff, I'm just really excited to just spend a few days in peace and quiet by myself.
Nice.
I'll take it when I can take it.
Yes.
All right, you guys. Well, we would love to hear how you're going with your word of the year. Remind us what it is. Remind yourself what it is, like Wendy had to do. And happy fall. And we will see you guys next week. Thanks for being here.
Yeah. Happy fall. And next week, aren't we doing a Q&A? We've had some questions about our 50 over.
Yes. Yep. We've had lots of questions about
our aging podcast that we did last weekend. So if you guys have any questions, we're going to do a podcast Q&As
on our Life Over 50 podcast. So if you are over 50 or nearly approaching, and you have some more questions, I've already gotten 3 or 4 questions, so that might be enough. But if you guys have questions, throw them out there and we will do that next week for you.
All right.
Make it a great week.
Bye. Make it a great day.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to Wellness Made Easy with Wendy and Kirsten.
If you want to learn more about us or anything we talked about today, check out the links in our show notes.
We would love to know what you think of our podcast and what you want more of. So drop us a comment, send us a message, and help us out by leaving us a rating and a review.
And don't forget to let us know your wellness win for this week.
Thanks for listening.
Make it a great day.